Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on IPM performance for the month of January. Thank you so much for joining us on this weekend. The topics that we will be covering today are uh, we will be looking at the IPM performance overall, the way the different categories or therapies have performed. We will also be looking at how the different growth drivers look for some of the key therapies and also the 12-month growth driver trend for the Indian pharma market. This month, since the growth of the market has been quite encouraging for in terms of value as well as units, we have tried to look at some of the key segments or key sub-super groups which have led or which have shown a high monthly growth. Now, the reason for this high monthly growth may be it's the seasonal component because winters are seasons or there is a seasonal trend for some therapies where, in winters it grows, or genuinely the molecules may be having a greater noise level because of which there is a good growth seen, or it's a branded generics which is now picking up and gaining good acceptance in the market. Then we will be looking at the top 40 corporates, the top 40 brands, and summarizing the whole session. So to start with, let us look at the IPM therapy performance. So if you look at the growth of the market for the month of January, the market has shown a growth, a very encouraging growth of 8.7% or almost 9%. The unit growth of the market is also quite positive to around 2.4%. Majority of the top therapies are having this encouraging growth, but the therapies which actually shine out are therapies like cardiac, gastro, neuro, derma, blood-related, anti-neoplastic among the top, which have shown a very good double-digit growth. Also, if you look at the unit growth, majority of the therapies are on a positive, and not just on a positive, but a strong positive unit growth. The same gets reflected in terms of volume growth when we look at the growth drivers as well. So when we look at the growth drivers for the Indian pharma market for the month of January, the growth drivers are very strong when we look at the new introduction as well as the price-led growth. But what is encouraging and more positive is even the volume growth, which talks about the growth after you remove everything new that has been launched in the market. So genuine demand of the existing products, even that is positive, though the proportion may be lesser. But then for the month, the volume-driven growth also seems to be pretty strong. When we look at this growth driver trend at a month as well as MAT level, for the month of January, majority of the key therapy areas continue showing a strong volume-driven growth, a positive volume-driven growth, whereas price-driven growth stays to be prominent in majority of the therapies. What we have done as a special analysis is we have looked at some of the therapy segments where the growth has been exceedingly higher as compared to the MAT growth or as compared to the growth of the overall category. So what we have done is the focus over here is on sub-super group. So what do we mean by sub-super group is the category within a core group. For example, in cardiac therapy, antihypertensives, lipid-lowering drugs, cardiac therapies, they would be something which would be falling in the sub-super group. So we have identified the sub-super groups that have shown extremely good growth for the month of January. We have shortlisted the sub-super groups with a turnover of greater than or equal to 200 crores. Now, since we are focusing on sub-super groups, it is possible that we may not have considered some of the top sub-super groups within the category because we have considered those sub-super groups whose growth for the month is greater than or equal to the growth of the super group. For example, antihypertensives contributes to 50% of the cardiac segment. However, if the antihypertensive segment has not shown growth higher than or equal to the cardiac category, then we have not considered that for the analysis, but we have considered which are the other categories within the cardiac therapy that have shown a very good and encouraging growth. We have also looked at the MAT growth of these sub-super groups. So while the sub-super group may have performed well for the month of January, how does the performance look in a 12-month period? We have seen that in majority of the cases, wherever the sub-super group has done well for the month of January, for the MAT Jan period also, the growth is quite encouraging. And we have tried to look at which are the places where the sub-super group performance is better for the month of January than for overall MAT period. Now here we try to understand, is there a seasonal component because of which for the month of January the supergroup has done better? Because there are certain conditions which pick up during the during the winter months. Have they picked up well, and has that seasonal component really done well to push the growth of that segment? Then we have also studied the growth drivers of these sub-supergroups and identified certain subgroups. While we keep on saying that majority of the growth is price driven and new introductions driven, but then in key segments, we have identified the molecules or the molecular combinations where volumes, that is the existing molecules or existing brands, have driven the growth of the market, and places where new introductions, whether it is a new molecule launched or new brands or brands within the new molecules or brands within the new or existing molecules launched, which have led to this type of growth. So we'll start with the cardiac therapy. The initial 1 or 2 therapies, I will take you through those therapies very slowly so that you get an understanding of how I have gone ahead doing this analysis. So as I said, we have considered the sub-supergroups with a turnover of 200 crore plus and the ones whose growth is higher or equal to the core therapy. So if you see for the cardiac therapy for the month of January 25, the growth is around 10%. Antihypertensives, which is the highest contributing segment, has not grown by 10%, but then the next or the few more segments within this category, like lipid-lowering drugs, anti-anginals, diuretics, heart failure therapies, antithrombotic agents, and cardiac therapy drugs, they have done well. Now, there will be certain molecules or certain categories, even in the cardiac segment, where the growth is much, much better than the therapy growth. For example, if you look at diuretics, heart failure therapies, antithrombotic agents, their growth is more than 15% as well. So those categories where the growth is more than 15%, I have highlighted them in blue color. Now, once I've identified these categories which have done very well for the month of January, in terms of value growth, I have looked at how have these therapies performed in terms of MAT level. So if you see all of them in terms of MAT performance as well, the growth has been good and encouraging. So is it that month and MAT growths are at par, or is it just a plus minus 1-2% difference? Then we have tried to identify the therapies where the performance for the month of January is much, much better than the MAT performance. Now, when I'm talking about much, much better, I had to put one filter criteria. So I have put a filter criteria of the difference of month growth and MAT growth. So basically, this is subtraction. Month growth minus MAT growth. Wherever it is 3% or more, I have highlighted that in green color. Then we looked at the growth drivers. While for the cardiac category, new product introductions as well as volume growths have driven the growth. Is it the same for all these categories? If you see typically for lipid lowering drugs, all the 3 parameters have contributed. Similarly, for heart failure therapies and for diuretics, all the 3 growth levers have contributed well. Whereas for anti-anginal drugs, for cardiac therapy drugs, it is the price which has led to the growth. And in case of antithrombotic agents, it is the older or existing brands and molecules which have driven the growth of the market. After this, we have looked at which are the key subgroups which have driven the volumes. While price stays, we have focused on which are the key subgroups which have focused on the volume growth and key subgroups which have driven the growth in the new products. So typically rosuvastatin and atorvastatin combinations with aspirin, clopidogrel, ezetimibe, then saroglitazar, which is a very promising molecule. All these have driven the volume growths. Whereas new introduction growth, it is saroglitazar and rosuvastatin, atorvastatin combinations with ezetimibe. As far as anti-anginals is concerned, it is nicorandil. Diuretics, it is torsemide combination with spironolactone, finerenone and tolvaptan. And for new introductions, it is finerenone. Now, in case of heart failure therapy, we see vericiguat coming in the older volumes driven growth as well as new introductions. This is because it was launched same time last year. That's the reason why it comes as a Jan capture and an existing brand. And this has been launched just 1 year back. That's why it is coming in new introductions as well. As far as antithrombotic agents is concerned, it is the apexaban and the rivaroxaban, and the cardiac therapy, the key molecule acidocumarol. Now, all this analysis, we have focused it only for the month. So the growth drivers and this aspect, the key groups driving the volumes or the new products, all this is restricted only for the month of January. Then we come to the next therapy, which is the gastro segment. Gastro segment overall has done very well in this entire year, in fact. While antacids, they are the top performing segments, top performing or top contributing categories within the gastro segment. As far as the growth is concerned, it is the probiotics, the anti-infectives and antidiarrheals, hepatobiliary disorders, hepatic protectors, oral electrolytes, antiflatulents, drugs for IBS, and gastroprokinetics are the ones which have grown much better than the overall category gastro segment. Also, the ones which I have highlighted in blue color, the number of these categories are relatively higher because their growth is much faster. If I compare this growth with the MAT growth, these categories have done well even at a MAT level. If I look at the difference, for the month of January, majority of the categories have done much better than the annual performance. Yeah. Just a minute. It is MAT growth. Majority of the categories have done well. For the month of majority of the categories have done well for the month of January as compared to the MAT growth. Now, as I go with the presentation, probably I'll get to see this slight change everywhere. So let us, I'll do the correction later on. I will not keep on doing the correction in every slide now. Okay. Then when we look at the growth drivers, in case of growth drivers, if you see for the probiotics, all the three segments are growing well. In case of antidiarrheals, it is the older brands. In case of price growth for hepatobiliary disorders, for hepatic protectors, it is the older molecules. Oral electrolytes, while the category has done very well, it is not the new introductions, it is the older products which have done well. Antiflatulence, it is the new introductions which have driven the growth of the market. In case of drugs for IBS, again, a balanced growth across all the three levers. And in case of gastroprokinetics, it is again all the three levers doing well. As far as the molecules are concerned, I may not go on reading all the molecules as I discuss, but then as far as the molecules are concerned, it is mainly or majority of the bacillus, probiotic microbes, bacillus clausii, etc. Again, probiotics with multivitamin and mineral combinations and prebiotic and probiotic combinations have driven the volume growth. And this prebiotic and probiotic combinations have also driven the new product growth. As far as the antidiarrheals are concerned, it is the rifaximin and ofloxacin combination with ornidazole, metronidazole, resiquetratrol, loperamide. Hepatobiliary disorders, it is the ursodeoxycholic acid. Again, all these molecules that I'm talking, I have taken only the molecules which are having a substantial value, the subgroups which are relatively bigger subgroups. There may be smaller subgroups which may be doing well in terms of volume or new introduction growth, but then I have not considered them in this presentation because in terms of value contribution overall to the category also, they are very smaller. So as far as the electrolytes are concerned, while the ORS segment, oral electrolyte segment has really done well, it is through the existing brands or existing things that were existing in the market. FDC actually comes as a very prominent player and that drives the growth of this market. Coming to the next segment, again, as I said, this is MAT growth, read it as MAT growth. As far as the anti-infectives are concerned, if you see, anti-infectives growth has slowed down, it is 6%. But then in case of, there are antibacterials, antifungals and antituberculars which are driving the growth of the market. Now here, which are the categories? The antifungals are actually growing well for the month rather than the MAT growth from as compared to the MAT growth. Now, if you look at overall anti-infectives growth, price driven growth is high only in the anti-tubercular segment. Otherwise, over here it is mellowed down. Now the key subgroups which are driving the volumes, if you look at the description of these key subgroups, majority of them are the hospital anti-infectives. They are not the in general trade anti-infectives. Majority of them are the hospital anti-infectives which are driving the growth of the market. Antifungals, if you see antifungals, again, a winter season where fungal infections increase. This also is maybe a reflection of, why this category has done very well, why the growth for the month is higher than the growth for the MAT period. Again, in the previous slide, when we were talking about the gastro segment, typically if you see probiotic, antidiarrheals, they had shown a better growth. The reason may be not winter specific, but then a festive season, a marriage season, which has picked up, wherein you tend to eat outside and spoil your stomach. Now, this is just an assumption, or this is just a guess that I'm making, may not be correct, but this may be one of the reasons why that gastro category and certain sections within the gastro category have grown. Coming to the next segment, we go to the anti-diabetic segment. In anti-diabetic segment, the category which has really grown well, or many molecules within this category are growing well, are the OAD combinations. The growth for the MAT as well as month remains the same because this category is not a season depending category. But if you look at the new introductions or the growth lever and new introduction related growth, new products and price are driving the growth of this market. Now, if you see majority of these segments or majority of the molecules which are driving the volumes as well as new introductions, typically they are the SGLT2 or the DPP4 inhibitor molecules which have gone off patent and which have started coming in combinations and are doing well, whether the combinations existed before the molecule went off patent or after the molecule went off patent and newer combination of CETA plus DAPA plus metformin started coming in. Doesn't mean that the OAD planes are not growing. Dapagliflozin, sitagliptin, vildagliptin, semaglutide, which are fall in the planes segment, are also growing well. But they have not come in this slide because OAD planes as a category is not growing faster than the overall anti-diabetic category. Coming to the nutritional segment, again, the nutritional segment, vitamins, nutraceuticals, and appetite stimulants are the ones which stand out. As far as the growth is concerned, comparing it with the MAT growth, the month growth for vitamins and appetite stimulants is very stronger and greater as compared to the MAT growth. As far as the growth drivers are concerned, over here for vitamins, it is the new introductions and price which is driving the growth. Whereas for appetite stimulants, it is more of the older brands which are driving the growth of the market. Now, if I look at the key subgroups which are driving the volumes, it is basically your multivitamins and minerals combinations, multivitamins without minerals, then your vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin D, planes, as well as combinations with methylcobalamin, which have driven the growth of the market. As far as the nutraceuticals is concerned, the infant formulas, antioxidants in combinations with minerals and vitamins, they are the ones and many more are driving the growth of the market. As far as the appetite stimulants are concerned, it is the older, age-old brands, molecules like cryptopeptidin and other appetite stimulants which are driving the growth of the market. Coming to the respiratory segment, this slide may look a little incomplete because we have not taken the anti-asthma and COPD segments. But the reason for not taking them is the growth is not as high as the growth seems to be on a slower side. As far as the systemic antihistamines is concerned, as compared to the MAT growth, the growth for the month of January is on a higher side. Growth drivers are concerned, it is the age-old products which are driving the growth over here in both the segments. As far as the molecules, subgroups which are driving the volumes are phenyramine, cetirizine, belastin for the systemic antihistamines, and nintedanib for the other respiratory system products. Coming to the pain and analgesics category, here we have not considered analgesics, or analgesics does not come in the table because the growth of the analgesic segment is not greater than or equal to 8%. If I were to look at the MAT growth, MAT as well as month growth for all these segments is quite encouraging. Drugs for osteoarthritis again have grown very, very well in the month of January. Again, probably winters aggravates arthritic conditions. That may be the reason why this type of growth is being seen. Molecules contributing to the musculoskeletal products are the collagen combinations, collagen peptides. Drugs for rheumatoid arthritis, we have tofacitinib, adalimumab, leflunomide, iguratimod. So these are the molecules which are driving the growth as far as volumes is concerned. Rose hip, plain as well as combinations. This is one subgroup which is driving the growth in terms of volumes as far as the older brands are concerned, as well as the new introductions are concerned. Coming to the neuro-CNS category, again, those who have joined late, there is a slight mistake. This is month growth greater than the MAT growth. It is not month growth. I will correct it later on because it will keep on coming on in every slide. As far as neuro-CNS category is concerned, all the traditional categories within the neuro-CNS have done well. In fact, over here, I don't think I have missed any of the top categories in the neuro-CNS segment. If you see in majority of the cases, it is the growth which is driven by the age-old molecules which are there. Not much new happening in this segment, except this sovateltide molecule from Sun Pharma, which has made a lot of waves in the market, done very well and has grown very well in the market. In fact, when we come out with our Aquint, which is our monthly initiative where we talk more on the molecular performance, company performance, and brand performance, we will be covering these aspects little more detail. In this presentation, we will not be covering that aspect in that much detail. Coming to the derma therapy, cosmetic derma, which is the most upcoming segment and a high growth segment. If you see the cosmoderma segment, which contributes to almost 30%, 32% of the derma segment has done well on the month basis as well as MAT basis. Anti-dandruff category has done really extremely well. Again, I would say probably it is the winter phenomena where emollients pick up well, anti-dandruff preparations pick up well, anti-acne preparations pick up well. These are the molecules again in this category. If you see over here also, as far as the derma category is concerned, as far as new molecular launches are concerned, not much happening as far as the molecular launches are concerned, but it is the existing molecules and new brands which are launched in the existing molecules which have driven the growth of the market well. Coming to the gynaec segment, as far as the gynaec segment is concerned, the overall growth of the segment is low. It's around 4%. But even though in that low segment, there are certain categories like hormones other than contraceptives, myoinositol, where the new introduction driven growth is relatively better. These are the molecules which are driving the market. As far as the hormones other than contraceptives are concerned, it is the norethistone which is driving the volumes, whereas for new products, it is dydrogesterone plus Dynogest which is driving the new products. Similarly, we have a bunch of molecules, a limited number of molecules which are driving the growth in terms of volumes as well as new introductions. Coming to the blood-related therapy, again, over here, you will not see anti-anemic preparations because those preparations have not shown overall, that category has not shown a growth of 13% plus. But within anti-anemic preparations, there will be certain molecules which have grown well, but we have not considered that in the analysis because today we are focusing only on the sub-super groups which have done well. So again, this whole blood and plasma substitute, mainly it is the albumin. Here I have considered this others as a category because Carica papaya is something which is most talked about. And I thought since it is coming in some of the top categories or top subgroups within the blood related molecules, I thought about putting this. So while it is in others, it is mainly the Carica papaya combinations which are driving the volumes in this category. As far as anti-neoplastics is concerned, it is the monoclonal antibodies, immunosuppressive agents, and the antimetabolites which are driving the growth or which have shown high growth. It's not driving the growth of the market, but which have shown the growth which is much higher than the anti-neoplastics category. Again, it is, if you see, while volume as well as new introduction growth are positive. It is mainly the older brands or older molecules which have driven the growth, or existing brands which have driven the growth of the market. Bevacizumab, nivolumab, denosumab, uh, pembrolizumab, difficult to pronounce all these words. But then yes, there are a good number of molecules which have driven the volumes. And these are the two molecules which have driven the new products. Similarly, if you look the number of new products or number of molecules which fall in the new products driven growth are relatively limited for the anti-neoplastics category. Coming to the ophthalmologicals, again, if you look, probably again a winter phenomena or a seasonal phenomena where the growth for the month is much higher than the growth for the MAT period. As far as the molecules are concerned, again, majority of the molecules are the traditional molecules, because dry eye products, we have this CMC, polyethylene glycol and propylene glycol preparations, hyaluronic acids. So in fact, both these categories, as far as the existing brands are concerned, they are driving the existing volumes, as well as many new introductions that get launched, especially to take advantage of the winter season. They have also pushed the growth of the market. Coming to the hormones, as far as the hormones are concerned, for the corticosteroids, it's mainly the prednisolone, dexamethasone, and triamcinolone. Whereas for new molecules, it is the triamcinolone. Similarly, if you see, as we had seen in the earlier presentations as well, or the earlier slides, the number of molecules which are driving the new product segment is relatively on a lower side. In case of anabolics and the hypothalamic hormones, it is majorly the older molecules which are driving the growth of the market. As far as urology is concerned, we look at the BPH products, urinary incontinence products, and urinary alkalizers. The growth of this market has been significant both for the month as well as for the MAT period. Again, urinary infections, probably again a winter phenomena, because of which we are seeing a higher growth in this period. Also, these are the key subgroups driving the growth. Mirabegron and mirabegron combination with solifenacin, again, quite talked about by majority of the players nowadays. So that is also driving the growth of the market. As far as the stomatological therapy is concerned, mouth gels and toothpaste, they contribute almost 70% of this segment. And if you see, the growth of both of these categories is pretty good growth shown by both the categories. Now, what I'm trying to also look at is mouth gels. Probably, your mouth ulcers, that may be one of the reasons which may have increased, because of which we are seeing a higher growth for the month. The number of molecules, again, stay traditional molecules. It is just some combinations here and there. So net, if you see, in what we have seen while we are looking at which are the segments within each of the therapies which have done extremely well in terms of growth for the month of January, they may not be among the top contributing segments within each of the therapy, but then they are the segments which are having a substantial value, 200 crore plus, and there are a few molecules or brands within these segments which have definitely done well. After this section, we move to our normal section or the regular section, where we look at the performance of the top 40 corporates. If you look, since the IPM performance is 8.7%, obviously the top 40 corporates, they contribute to 75, almost 80% of the Indian pharma market. So they are bound to push this type of growth. And even among the top corporates, among the top 20, it is Sun, Alkem, Intas, Torrent, Dr. Reddy's, and Eris, which have shown a double-digit value growth. If you look at the unit growth, while the IPM has grown by 2.4%, majority of them have shown a very good and robust unit growth as well. Amongst the next set of companies, Hilarion, P&G, Nutricia, Bayer, these are the companies which have shown a very good double-digit value growth. Coming to the top 40 brands, while GSK, while Augmentin and Glycomed GP stay at their number 1 and number 2 position, Foracort from Cipla has moved to the number 3 position for the month of January. Again, there are certain brands like Rhizodec, Thyronorm, Manforce amongst the top 20, which continue to show a very good and encouraging double-digit value as well as unit growth. Amongst the next set of 20 brands, Telma from Glenmark, Ribelsus from Abbott or Novo, uh, and Bicosos from Pfizer. They continue to show a very good and encouraging double-digit growth. To summarize, the IPM has shown a very good and encouraging value growth of around 8.7% for the month of January. So this year has really started with a encouraging big bang growth. And also to add to the positive aspect, even the unit growth for the month of January has been very good and positive. New introductions and price growth have driven the market for the month of January, and volume growth stays to be positive. Seasonal demand therapies have shown encouraging performance across many categories. For the month of January, majority of the top players have shown encouraging value as well as unit growth, and Augmentin and Glycomed GP continue to retain their leadership position, whereas Foracort comes to the number 3 position for the month of January. That's all from our side today, and thank you all of all the attendees for sparing your weekend, your holiday, and spending time with us for attending this webinar. Have a very nice weekend and have a very nice week ahead. Thank you so much.